Fast and Furious has finally announced their next and final film in the franchise titled Fast Forever. What do we think of it? Who's returning for the final film? Is this going to be the end of family? Let's talk some movies. Hi everybody, welcome to the channel. If you're new here, join this little community and subscribe so we can talk about the greatest thing in the world, movies. New videos are going to be dropping every single day. It's a packed year with big new movie releases, so if you want a place to talk about them, then you're in the right place. All right, without further ado, let's talk some movies. So, Fast and Furious has been losing its steam for the past few years, in my personal opinion. I think 5, 6, and 7 are really great movies, while 8 was pretty decent, and I honestly... absolutely, with all due respect to the filmmakers, the actors, everybody, Vin Diesel, The Rock, don't hate me. I absolutely despise F9 and Fast X Part 1. I hate those movies. Are they dumb fun? Sure. Can I watch them? Yes. Is it? I don't enjoy them. Let's put that aside. It's just become so bad that it's not funny anymore. It's just bad. However, Fast and Furious has not seemed to lose any steam at the box office, as the movies are still huge draws. Fast X wasn't a huge success by any means, but it made enough money to greenlight the final movie in the franchise, and it looks like today the film was finally announced. The official title of the final film in the franchise, the Fast and Furious franchise, it's going to be titled Fast Forever. This comes to us from The Hollywood Reporter, stating here, Universal has announced Friday that the upcoming sequel for the racing franchise is titled Fast Forever. I can't read very well, guys. And it is set for a theatrical release March 17th, 2028. Kind of crazy that it's coming out in 2028. The Fast X has, it got released in 2023. We'll talk a little bit about that later. It follows the previous installment, director Louis Leterrier's Fast X. Franchise star Vin Diesel, known for his role as Dominic Toretto, celebrated the news on Instagram, posting a photo of himself with the late co-star Paul Walker, who played Brian O'Connor in the films. We are going to talk about that in a little bit as well. Walker died in 2013 while Furious 7 was still in production, and his character scenes were completely completed, Jesus. And his character scenes were completed through CGI, archival footage, and the use of brothers Caleb and Cody Walker as stand-ins. March 17th, 2028, Fast Forever. All right. So, what do we think about this news? Fast and Furious always does this thing where sometimes I appreciate, actually, they always mix up the titles every single year. We had Fast 5, and then Fast and Furious 6, and then Furious 7. And then we had The Fate of the Furious, F9, The Fast Saga. That was the worst title to me. That one was the worst one. And then Fast X Part 1. That's also a really bad title. However, okay, look, I won't lie. I do appreciate the titles and how they always have, a little bit of fun with it. I'm really glad they ditched that stupid Fast X Part 2 because, this movie was supposed to be a Part 2. I'm just glad they titled it something different and changed it to a completely different title. Is it a little corny? Fast Forever? Is it a little bit? Kinda, but so is this whole franchise, right? And I think that's a part of the fun. I think Fast Forever is a really good title. I think it's straight to the point. You understand that this is the last Fast. They should have called it that. The Last Fast. That would have been cool. All right. My biggest question, though, is what is this going to be about? And a big part of the criticism for the Fast and Furious franchise is that it barely even involves racing anymore. There are so many characters and nobody actually races these cars. It's just become kind of a globetrotting spy, mystery thriller, action, soap opera, whatever the fuck. And honestly, it's worked for the most part. Regardless of what you think about the Fast and Furious franchise, it's extremely popular still. Up from Fast 5 all the way up until now, these movies have made a lot of money, and they're kind of like a staple for summer blockbusters. And yeah, Fast 5, like I said, Fast 5 up until Fate of the Furious. These are still some pretty damn good movies. Even Hobbs and Shaw. I really did enjoy Hobbs and Shaw a lot. Vin Diesel has repeatedly said that they're trying to bring the franchise back to its roots and bring it closer to racing. The only reason why Fast X Part 2 has taken so long to, let's call it Fast Forever. Now, Fast Forever has taken forever to get into production is because Vin Diesel and the studio were kind of at odds with how much their budget would be for the next movie. Apparently Vin Diesel wanted a bigger budget and Universal was just like, dude, we can't give you a bigger budget if the movies keep making less money. So I guess they found a happy medium, and one of those questions is, well, damn, they can't go, globetrotting anymore with a smaller budget. So do they go back to their roots? Do they go back to the streets of LA, make it a little bit more of a personal story about family? If you watched the crazy shit fest that was Fast X, you'll remember there's a whole storyline involving Jason Momoa being this evil villain. So is he going to come back? And if he does, he costs money. Also, spoiler alert for Fast X Part 2, or for Fast X Part 1, excuse me, but Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, the final boss, he's coming back, or he came back in the post-credit scene. So will he be coming back for Fast Forever? He is like the biggest star that you can possibly get. So like, I don't know, man. This is going to be a lot of money. If they really dialed the budget back, how are you going to pay all these guys? Right? This is going to be the controversial one that I think that we need to talk about right here. And it's this. Does Paul Walker's Brian O'Connor come back? Okay, look, Brian is a main character and he is extremely important to the franchise. I understand some people's sentiments. They think, they believe that it's going to be kind of disrespectful to recast such a iconic role, and especially since Paul Walker died in that tragic accident. I am totally for them just to leave Brian out. However, here's my argument. Could he be recast by Cody Walker and Caleb Walker? One of the two. I'm not saying use CGI. I'm not saying use AI to regenerate his face, right? I'm not saying that, because then we're kind of tiptoeing on the line of disrespectful, even being blatantly disrespectful. I'm not saying do that. However, they did do on Furious 7, they did do some using archival footage, put the CGI on him, but used Caleb and Cody, his brothers, to kind of fill in. What if they just ditched the CGI and just have Caleb or Cody just step in? I think this franchise is so crazy that we can we can believe Vin Diesel like roaming the streets of Italy in a car and driving into a huge metal ball, like playing pinball in real life. And using that, we can suspend our disbelief and believe that a car in Dubai can drive from one building to the next. Why can't we just suspend our disbelief and say, hey, look, Brian is still in the universe. He's just being played by a different actor. I think it would be even more respectful to have the character back, because he's such a huge part of the franchise. So I think it's more respectful that they include him in the final story, in the final film of the franchise. Don't you think? Let me know down below in the comment section. I know this is going to be a pretty controversial topic here, but I just don't see how you can close out this whole franchise without at least, putting him in there for a little bit. You don't have to have him be in the movie for 45 minutes, right? But I assume that there's got to be something with Brian at the end. And they have a couple years to figure this out, right? Figure out how they're going to do this in the most respectful way possible. Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, they were really good friends. They were like best friends. So I think that whole cast kind of knows like what's respectful and what's not, regardless of what the public think. I think that whatever they choose to do, they're going to be in the right mindset, right? Other than that, man, there we go. Fast Forever is hitting theaters officially in 2028. The final Fast and Furious movie. After 20 years, 20 plus years, we are ending this franchise, hopefully on the highest note possible, because I really do want to see this film be good. So let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section about this news. Are you excited? Do you think Brian is going to come back, get recast by one of the brothers? Let me know down below in the comment section what you think.